Let me just say this. I'm very troubled by the direction of your program here, first of all, and the way you're treating Joe Biden. You know, I used to think Joe Biden was a doddering fool. He couldn't tell his sister from his wife, and he didn't know the name of the Secretary of Defense. And there you are with Peter Doocy mocking him for not having press conferences. Now I know why he doesn't have press conferences. He's busy inventing the viruses and figuring out how to distribute them. In 7 weeks' time, this man will have killed the virus. Joe Biden, 50 years in the Senate, not one profound thing. Joe Biden, who had to cheat his way through law school. Joe Biden, who was plagiarizing from people even as a senator. And little did we know, he's not a doddering old fool, an egomaniac and a narcissist taking credit for the work of Donald Trump and all these other people. He has been working like no president in American history. He is the modern day Jonas Salk. He's Thomas Edison. We've never had a president like this. He's fantastic. Let me tell you something about this guy, Biden. He's a liar. He's a plagiarist. Since he's been in high school. And I want to give you the facts, the American people. As for Cuomo, he needs to resign. Everybody knows what he is and what he's done. And that last woman, number 6, she's accusing him, just to remind America, of exactly what Tara Reid accused Joe Biden of. And notice Joe Biden, no responsibility for Joe Biden whatsoever. Ladies and gentlemen, Pfizer was contracted by the Trump administration last summer to produce 100 million doses of a vaccine that hadn't been approved yet. Moderna was contracted to produce 100 million doses of a vaccine that they didn't have yet. Johnson & Johnson, 100 million doses. AstraZeneca, 300 million doses. Novavax, 100 million doses. GlaxoSmithKline, 100 million doses. The Trump administration last summer, before we had a vaccine, just in case one of these would work, contracted and paid for 800 million doses to cover 400 million people. On December 23rd, when only Pfizer and Moderna had received emergency authorizations, the Trump administration went in and they ordered another 200 million vaccinations. Where do you think these vaccines are coming from? You think they're coming from Joe Biden in the basement? They didn't have any idea what the hell was going on. In terms of the distribution process, Trump brought in the Defense Department and HHS and other experts. This distribution process that they're using now through the states, through pharmaceutical companies, through Walmart and everything, that was the brainchild of the Trump administration in Operation Warp Speed. So January comes along. Then Johnson & Johnson, working all through Warp Speed, they have a one-shot vaccine. And what happens? They don't have the capacity to make enough of them. So they start on their own talking to Merck. And they've done this throughout. These companies have been sharing their science. They didn't need Joe Biden. They've been sharing their information. And now they're sharing their assembly lines to get this stuff done. Why? Because the private sector is patriotic. Because people working hard in the private sector did this. Not 7 weeks of Mr. Is that my sister? Is that my wife? And so what happened? So they quickly ordered more of the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. In the end, before Donald Trump left office, he had contracted for enough approved vaccines to inoculate 550 million people. It takes time to ramp up. You got to have the channels of production. You got to have the material. You're competing overseas with other companies in other countries. The idea, this speech that Joe Biden gave is the most disgusting, propagandistic speech that a demagogue, even a politician, has ever given. It is pathetic. And you'll notice he and his spokesperson, Psaki, never tell us exactly what they've done and exactly who's done it. That is so different from the Trump administration. This is so appalling. This man has exploited this pandemic like no politician has ever exploited a pandemic. When he's sitting in his basement eating his oatmeal that's dripping on his loafers, what does he do? He accuses President Trump of killing hundreds of thousands of people. When it's Trump who gets the testing done, when it's Trump who's getting the ventilators and the respirators, when it's Trump who's getting the PPE, when it's Trump who's bailing out fools like Cuomo with hospital beds and so forth and so on. The Democrat Party has been a disaster. The Democrat governors have destroyed their economies. People can't get out of their states fast enough to go to Republican states. This is a disgrace what Joe Biden did. And by the way, he says it's a war on the virus. Well, who started the war? Communist China, his friends. What did he say about Communist China today? Not a damn thing. Press conference from Joe Biden. What's the point? I'm done.
Mark Levin, the great one. Thank you, sir.